Join us on our tech startup journey from the birth of ideas towards a successful, profitable, contributing organization, or towards fiasco. Only time will tell. The premises are two guys, Sergio and Kai, while having full-time jobs using ValueFirst principles all the way and the TrinPod development platform with no capital, without ever inviting investors. We will fail or succeed and will take you along on the journey. Welcome. My name is Kai Gilb, and together with Sergio, we have just decided to do a new tech startup. And like I said in the intro, the premises are quite daring, to say the least. That is, we have no starting capital, and we're not gonna go looking for any investors at all. What we have is the unique skills of Sergio, which you'll learn more about, and you'll meet Sergio later, and my unique skills in ValueFirst and getting success in developing products early, getting value to stakeholders early. And then we have something else unique. Graphmetrics, the company where I work full-time, and I will keep working full-time at Graphmetrics, and it's a startup, so that means it's really 200% time. It's not 100% time. So that's where I will be spending most of my time. But we have developed a TrinPod. A TrinPod gives a very unique, first time ever really systems engineering engine to develop all kinds of exciting products that are a little bit more, have higher requirements, that needs more, they can handle more challenging tasks, to say it like that. So because this is unique, we are jumping on it ourselves. So Sergio and I are jumping on this, and we will do our startup, and basically this, I'll have a video series on YouTube. I'll probably post this on LinkedIn, maybe Twitter, where you can follow along. And so you'll see how we do the startup from the very beginning, how we plan, decisions we take, show the technology, show the interactions with customers, and we might fail. Right? So then I'll show you how you fail. And if we succeed, I'll show you how we succeed. So I hope that's an interesting thing. I've never seen a company really doing that before, where you get to see from the inside how the company runs. No, Sergio and I, we will own the company. So we will share what we want to share, and we will mainly share everything. So ValPlan is a tool we use for planning according to this ValueFirst principles. And it's really putting value first. So we have to understand the values. We'll talk about what that is. And at several levels before we start jumping into decisions and technology. So very quick overview here. You have something we call business level. This is Sergio and mine as a business. What do we want to achieve? So we're talking about not how, but what we want to achieve. What are the end states we want? Then the next level down, the level down supporting these business values, is what we call stakeholder values. So these are other stakeholders other than us, we're also stakeholders, but that are supporting us. So these will be our customers and all people that have an interest, a stakeholder, a stake in what we're doing. And also here, we're looking at just what they do and how well they do it. Get back to that. Then we still are not talking about solutions. We're talking here, we're touching the solutions. We're looking at the product, but not really how. Just how well the product will do what it will do. So how well are the values and resources, and the functions is what it will do. So we get 3 levels here: business level, stakeholder level, and product level of just outcomes. That is states and outcomes, because we're moving from the state where we are to where we want. So we define the present situation, and then we define where we want to go to. and lots of effort. And we're going to quantify that. We're going to be super clear on what we want to achieve at the stakeholder level, what our customers and other stakeholders want, and what our product will be capable of doing. Then and only then are we interested in the solution level. These are the technologies and processes and whatnot that we're going to use to get to the product that'll get to that be valuable to the stakeholders, so they're willing to pay us money, etc. at the business level. And then the last is what are we going to do next? How do we sequence these things? So this is, we call the EVO level. So at the EVO level, you're looking at delivering value, these values up here, as an earliest stage as practically possible. So we're going to be really fighting hard to be able to deliver some value to some stakeholder as early as possible. And then there are different types of stakeholders. It's not just the paying customer, but of course, the earlier we can get to a paying customer saying, this is valuable for me, so I want to exchange your value with money. So that's when you start really proving that the value you have developed is so valuable to some stakeholder that they're willing to pay for it, right? So now we can't do that, at least we, in our way of doing it. This is high-tech, challenging stuff we're going to develop in like a week. But we sure like to, and maybe it's possible. We'll start looking into it. Now, if we find a way, we'll do it. But before that, a lot of the value, the first initial value we're going to develop is really learning. We need to learn as much as possible about everything, the technologies, the domain, the needs, everything we need to learn as fast as possible. So that's a little bit of the setup. Now let's go to the business level here first. So first at the business level, we have Sergio and we have me. Now, like I mentioned in the beginning, we are not intending to take aboard investors. But if we had investors, they could also go in here. Whoever owns the company, what are they interested in? Then we have some resources. We really don't have anything in the bank. We don't have any money in the bank. Now, if there's small amounts for a license or something here and there, we'll find it from our personal accounts or something like that. But we're basically looking at just using whatever we have of resources. Then we have hours, and especially me in the beginning, maybe for a few years, we'll have very few hours. So this will be like my sidekick project. So so a few hours I will work, with Sergio, and even this hour, spending making this video for you will be my hours. And then Sergio, he also has to pay his bills from other work. So we'll see how fast it progresses, but along the way he has to feed himself. So he has other jobs that he's working at, and that's his main source of income. And then as the income hopefully starts coming into this company, we're gonna feed them to Sergio first, and then when he has a good salary, he can start working less and less at his other job, and then maybe later also I will get a salary, but that will come later. So we just have our hours, our time, and our skills. Then what do we want? Well, we want, I'll start with Sergio here. So Sergio, he really want to have creative freedom in the technology space. So, he wants to keep being free and having, a very interesting job, and he loves thinking about how to create the optimal systems and using different technologies. So so he wants to have that. He wants to have a financial income. So that's also what he wants to do. And then I'll do soil last. And then if you just look at me, so I also want to eventually have a financial income from this, but it's going to come later, like in a few years maybe. And then I want to run a company using ValueFirst principles. So this is important for me. I really want to see what we can do using these ValueFirst technologies. And then it says soil there. It's just a keyword that I guess Sergio and I have an understanding from. Kind of started with, hey, we really both love this permaculture and then permaculture principles. And we also talk, about the environment. Now, these environmental, like reducing CO2 is, for me at least, questionable. I mean, you might believe that's the way to go. For me, it's questionable whether that is really helping the environment. So what we want to do is whatever is truly helping the planet and life on the planet, to be comfortable for humans. And as a key word there, we just put soil because we think really the soil of the earth is a really good indicator of the health of the planet. All life comes from soil. The food we eat, etc., all comes from healthy soil. And we think there's some issue there. It's not looking so good actually. Forget CO2, look at the soil, hint hint. But anyway, that's our way of saying we want to do good. And we like I said, we just started this, so we're going to go much deeper into all of this. Now, then we've been looking at what to do first. So let me go back here. So we have the skill sets, and then we have this TrinPod. So, and this TrinPod, we'll get more and more into what does that do, but it has some unique capabilities. So we're going to use Sergio's skill set combined with the TrinPod and create something. And what we have here is an example of where we are heading off. So here's the ship and here's the captain up on the bridge. And on this ship, let's say it's a container ship or something like this, it has lots of systems. And these systems are all communicated up to the bridge where there's a huge, dashboard of everything that's going on the ship, and the captain and the crew, they use that to sort of control all their systems. Now, these systems are mainly siloed off. So there you have like a system about hydraulic pressure, for instance, and that comes in, and there's maybe a gauge about that, and then different system, different gauges, and then it's the captain and the crew's job to synchronize that and make decisions, etc. So now what we want to do is we want to go into the operation of this and create more resource efficient and better values systems through this using this TrinPod. So little bit poorly explained maybe, but let's say they're operations, and if we can make the operation be more efficient, then that's good, and that's something maybe somebody's willing to pay for. And also the other values other than just efficiency, like safety and security, of the boat. So, or the ship. So this is something we're going to start building out. And then with that, we are also going to build the fleet operation. So thinking this as a fleet management system. So you have one boat or ship with lots of systems on it. So we want to be able to have one system on the ship that manages all the systems with live data and all kinds of exciting technologies we're going to be talking about. And that we can do locally on the boat. So the boat will have the system on the boat operating independent of any fleet. But it will also communicate to the fleet manager that has multiple boats. And imagine, at the very base of it, they can have a map and you can see where all their ships are going, and then they can help optimize the routes. But then you should also be able to go into a ship from there and say, okay, you click on a ship and then you go into one ship and you can see all the data, etc. of that ship. So fleet management. So that is our idea right now. Now, value first, we're going to chase the value that gives value to stakeholders. So we might have to change around on this as we go along. Now, we have we really want to push to deliver value to real customers, right? We don't want to create something from fantasy. So we are very lucky. We have a company, and they make smoke alarms for ships that Sergio is already working with. And what we want to do first, we thought, was to create a history. This is like very first step. Maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit. So let's go back a step first. So one thing we want to do is we want to make such a fleet management system on the ship, and then for the fleet, for the fire, I keep calling it fire alarm, but it's really a smoke detector, to be technically correct. So then this current smoke detector system, it has a unit, and then it has, as I understand it, it has air vents that goes from the different compartments on the ship, and it sucks the air in there, and then it measures through a little LED light through the air. It will measure the smoke or the particles in the air by the light going through the air to the sensor undisturbed, or if there's lots of particles in there, less light will reach the light sensor. So then currently it does that, and then it sends these signals up to the bridge, where the captain and the crew can see, oh, there is smoke in compartment B, shipping compartment B. That's how it works today. Oversimplify, clearly. But what they don't have is a full history of anything. and let's say that the ship actually goes down, there's a fire, who's at fault. Now, can we see the history of the smoke detector? No, not as I understand it. So what we want to do is create a history, but then we're going to build and build and build all kinds of value on top of that. But that's the first step. And then the very first step is the history of, is the smoke detector on or off? Because they sometimes turn it off as they're working, like shipping or loading containers in and out of the ship, that will bring up a lot of dust. So they turn off the smoke detector, and then they turn it on afterwards, but they might forget, for instance, right? So we just want a history on off, and then we're going to get a history of other values, like the levels of smoke, etc. So that's, but that'll come later. First, we're going to go for a history of on-off. Now, so that is something we have talked to this fire company about, that would be really valuable to them. Now, alone, I'm not sure, but it's at least valuable. And if we can get that in first, just like the history of these gadgets or smoke detector. It's like a huge box, very industrial, very well made smoke detecting box that can withstand the sea, the salt and the corrosion and these rough conditions. So yes. Yeah, so the point is that's a value that we can hopefully provide, and in exchange for a fee, because it's that valuable for them, hopefully. Then to do that, we're just now looking at getting the signal from the smoke detector into the TrinPod. So we have a TrinPod here. So yeah, so let me switch back here. So right now we're just learning. The signal is in the smoke detector being sent today to the bridge to an instrument that shows levels of smoke. Now we want to capture that in the TrinPod. So we need to get it from there to the TrinPod. So that's what we're working on right now, and I don't think I'm going to go into that in this episode, and maybe we're going to get Sergio along so he can explain that. But still what we have is a smoke detector system that has some logic, and then we need some protocol translator, because the signal sent is not sent out of the sensor is not the same as what the TrinPod reads. So we need to translate it, and then we also have a protocol adapter, or whatever that is called, network adapter, that will sense where when events are happening, etc. So and then the protocol that is being used currently is on the smoke detector is this RS485. But then there are other protocols that we also want to, as we evolve from just the smoke detector to other systems, we need to support those. So that's being thought of. Now, when you develop a system, one thing to create sort of a prototype, but you need, the hard part typically is scaling it. Now, so what we want to do is design it in from the very beginning so it's scalable. So instead of creating a minimum viable product, which we are not going to do ever, and then look at, so now, and have it work sort of like a prototype, and then look at scaling it, we're going to look at the values from the very beginning. And when I say we're not going to do a minimum viable product, it's because I think it's a really stupid idea. That is, what everybody advises you to do. But what we want to do is we want to create a maximum value product for minimum effort, right? So how little effort can we spend and still create some value to stakeholders? Ideally, something they're willing to pay for. That's our strategy. So what we've started to do is we've defined 3 types here of scalability that we want to look into. I might show you more of these later, but they have to do with if you install it on one ship, it has a certain cost. Now, what if you have 200 other ships you're going to install this into? Is it going to be more and more complex so the cost goes up? Or is it going to be just the same cost? Or can we get going from, let's call the first ship 100% to 10% on the consequent ships, right? So how do you do that? How do you design it so that the cost goes down the more ships rather than up, which typically, and quickly would happen if you don't think about this very systematically from the very beginning. And the same, similar things with performance. So as you add more and more, there are 2 things. You have a ship, so you add more and more systems to the ship that you are controlling and having in your TrinPod. You want to keep the performance at a high level, right? And also, as you add more and more ships, you don't want the system to crumble, right? You want to keep the performance. So these are things that we're designing in as we are architecting the system. And then we also have some other values. Let's see. Yeah, we'll look at these later. But the key, this is the key. So I'm going to look at it later, but that doesn't mean it's not important. The key is to really understand the values. This is value first. That's going to make this product satisfy the value of our stakeholders, of our customers and other stakeholders, in such a way that they want to support us financially and otherwise. So that's what we're working on. So then with that in place, we go into the solution space. I've already outlined it. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I'm not going to go into each of these, but the key technical idea is we're going to build this into the TrinPod and use the TrinPod to control and operate all of these things. The TrinPod, so here's another fundamental idea of value first. Don't build things from scratch. Use systems that already exists and build on top of that to create value early. Now, that's true even if you want to build your product from scratch, and you will in time have your own product. In the meantime, use some other system that does what you want or similar. That way you can build on that and get value out early. So now we are not intending to replace the TrinPod. That's a piece of genius technology that we already have created in the Graphmetrics company. So we are using it. We're going to build on top of that. I think it's a unique market opportunity. It's a unique technical opportunity to create incredible products into the market. That'd be a better way of putting it. So we are doing that. Yes. So that's all I want to say about the solutions now. And then also with the value first. So here we have cycle 1. And then I'm going to show you more of how we do this later. But the idea is that the cycle is not just a set of things to do, which it also is, but it is not about doing those. Succeeding in a cycle is not doing them. Succeeding in a cycle goes back to the values and our ability to improve on some value at the product level, stakeholder level, or business level. Phew. So that's it for now, I think. More than enough. I will update you earliest in 1 week, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. But I'll keep updating and I'll keep showing you more and more what we're doing and progressing. Now, a couple of things. If you're still with us, we can get your help, right? So one of the benefits of having social media and talking to lots of experts like yourself, we can get some help. So if you have ideas, please comment and submit them to us for free. Thank you. Now, we also are looking at the name. So if you have naming ideas for a company like this, go ahead. We do have Twin as a name option and the Twin. So which one of those do you like better? The Twin or something else? Yes. I think that's it for now. So I hope that you find this valuable to follow this and see how a startup fails or succeeds from the very beginning, step by step. Thank you. Until next time.